Welcome back, everyone. Our guest today, and again, I say this often, the word legend, icon thrown around a lot, but it's worthy with these two. They are legendary, iconic hit makers. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are the producers behind groundbreaking songs that have shaped the music landscape. They've worked with huge names like Prince, Mariah Carey, and most famously, Janet Jackson, yes. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. This weekend, the duo is taking center stage at the legendary Minnesota State Fair to celebrate the legendary Minneapolis Sound audience. Give it up for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you for doing this. I wore the suit for you guys. I did. I wanted to make sure. Yeah, there we go.
You're in the band.
Totally That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
Totally see you.
You know, obviously, where I'm going to start. We have a lot of things to talk about. We have a lot of time to do it. But I wanted to get. I thought to myself, I was eating that burrito last night, and I thought, I thought the booking universe is looking down on us because I couldn't think of two guests I'd rather have on the show today to talk about the music legacy of Dolly Parton. We're not going to see another one like her, are we?
No, but what you will see is the influence she's had on so many up-and-coming great artists. Mm-hmm. She was always such an artist advocate for everyone, not only in Nashville, but really everybody. And she was inspiring to people. So you will see people who are inspired by her, and definitely one of those people that will make music a better place to be.
And you guys were inducted, correct me if I'm wrong, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the same year, right?
That's correct.
So that's a class right there. That is a class.
What was so cool about it to me was I remember she initially had said she didn't want to go in. She didn't feel like she was rock and roll or deserving to be in. And but then that inspired her to make a rock and roll album.
Yeah.
Right. And I just
really?
thought, yes, she did. She literally went in the studio right after that and started making an album. And we were actually invited to the premiere of the album when she did a listening party for the album, and couldn't have been more gracious and more nice. But the fact that she kind of felt like, I want to be where I deserve to be, and she didn't feel she deserved to be there, so she made a rock album that was amazing. So, yeah, I mean, she just was everything that's great about music and about people. Yeah, she was it.
Yeah. Because, you know, unfortunately, you know, the vast majority of us will never get an opportunity to be one-on-one with her. What was her spirit like in person? Could you feel it? And I know, you know what I mean. Could you feel the generosity that we now celebrate?
Yeah, she was exactly the way that she comes off. I mean, because when you see her, it's interesting because when you see her on camera, she's very, very bubbly and very, you know, she just had a light about her. Mm-hmm. But no, she was very much like that in person. And she was very caring. Like, you just knew her heart was just in the right place. She was concerned with other people. She was, you know, certain people, and I feel like this in the Twin Cities very much, when people say, how are you? It's an actual question. It's not just a, you know.
Yeah, passing line.
It's not it's like, oh, how are you? No, they actually mean, tell me about your Saturday.
And, and that was the way she was. And any place that she was in.
That's a good way to describe that.
Yeah.
She was the kind of person that if you met her, you felt like you were her best friend already.
Yes.
Was she one of those, Terry, was she one of those that when you would talk to her, you hear people describe like this, you know what I'm going to say, she made you feel like you were the only person in the room?
Yes. Direct eye contact.
Yes.
And always extended arms.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Yep. Let's talk, Let's talk. This Saturday, we've been talking about it on this show. I know you're watching from around the country, but I told you to come to the Minnesota State Fair. It's the best state fair in the country. These two, here's another reason to jump on a plane now. These two will be performing on Saturday. It's called Homecoming, a celebration of the Minneapolis Sound. I want to talk to people out there watching from Tampa or Texas. How do you describe the Minneapolis Sound? I was talking to producer Bjorn. What is it? What's the recipe for people that don't know?
For me, it's Prince. Prince was kind of the foundation of the Minneapolis Sound.
Period on the end of the complete sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just as the way he approached things with synthesizers, drum machines, composition. And then he brought along the time. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of in the same vein because there was always that same thread running through everything. And that became the Minneapolis Sound, as people know it, I think. And we're just a branch on that tree.
Yeah.
He's the trunk of the tree.
For sure.
And what a hell of a tree that is. I mean, anything to add to that? Any Prince, are there still, do you still feel the branches in this city? Because for people know that we're a great arts town. They know that we're now a great food area. They know us for a lot of things, but we're a great music town. Do you still feel that?
Totally feel that.
Absolutely.
It's one of the reasons we love to come back here. And, you know, the music still continues, you know, and the music of Prince and the music of Minnesota really travels around the world. I mean, we're calling the show that we're doing at the Minnesota State Fair, we're calling it Made in Minnesota. Because the point is when you talk about a Janet Jackson or a Michael Jackson or a New Edition or a lot of the people who you mentioned, all those records were made in Minnesota. So but they traveled around the world, and that's the thing that's so fun about coming back here.
More when we return. Stay right there, everyone. We'll be right back. When did you guys get in? Who of the best? Music producing legends Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis this Saturday at the Minnesota State Fair. Jump on a plane. Get here. Get here. You mentioned Prince. Is it true you guys were fired by Prince?
That is very true. And,
but it's perspective to me.
Yeah.
I say we were freed by Prince.
Freed, yeah. Give me the short version of that. What happened?
So Prince had asked us not to work with other acts, with other groups, and we did a song for a group called the SOS Band, and we recorded it in Atlanta. We got caught in a snowstorm in Atlanta. And I always say to people in the Midwest, a snowstorm, but what we would call a dusting of snow.
That's right, yeah.
You wouldn't even take your shovel out. It would just sweep it. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, close the whole airport down. We subsequently missed the next time gig, which was in San Antonio, Texas. So that summer, we were going to mix our song that we did in Atlanta. We got a call by Prince. He said, come meet me at Sunset Sound Studio in LA. So we go to the studio. We sit in a room about this big. He said, I told you guys not to work with other bands. And we said, yeah. And he said, and you worked with the SOS Band. And we said, yeah. And he said, so you're fired. So we said,
and that's about the length of the conversation?
That was basically it.
That
was basically it. And so Terry and I get up and we kind of go, well, what do you want to do? And we say, well, we might as well go to this other studio and mix the SOS Band because we had already booked time to do that. We walked in, there was an engineer named Steve Hodge, who is actually from LA, but actually lives here now still. But we walked in and he said, what's wrong with you guys? And we said, oh, we just got fired from the time. He said, well, I don't think you have anything to worry about because this song here is a smash. And he hits play, and out of the speakers comes the Steve Hodge mix of Just Be Good to Me by the SOS Band, which ended up being our first big hit record. So
you felt it when
literally we went from being fired at one studio to an hour later mixing our first big record. So it's just, it was
that is the universe. That is crazy.
Right.
Was it one of those moments where you pressed and when you heard it, did you know right away?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we knew we liked it. Here's the thing about hit songs, and we say this all the time. Terry says everybody makes hits. And what he means by that is there's three kinds of songs. There's good songs, there's bad songs, and there's hit songs.
Yes.
The first two are debatable. But a hit is undeniable. So, but we don't make the hits. Everybody makes the hits. When people play them, we've been around long enough, play it on your 8-track or your cassette or your CD, right? But
kids, Google what an 8-track is.
Exactly. But that's what makes it a hit. Everybody makes it a hit. When radio stations play it, when people like you promote it, that's what makes it a hit record. And that's what we celebrate when we do our shows, is we celebrate that everybody makes a hit, so everybody should feel like they're a part of it.
Absolutely. Speaking of hits, we could do my executive producer Jeff and I, we couldn't love Janet more. We were just freaked out we remember buying Control, which is 40 years old. Look at that album, everybody. If you're a Gen Xer, you remember going to the store to buy that. Can you guys, this is such a, this is an unfair question, and I acknowledge that. Can you sum up what the collaboration process is like working with that genius? I mean, it's 3 geniuses in a room. What the hell is that like? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing about Janet is very much, when she first came to Minneapolis, first of all, I will say Minneapolis played a major part in making the record because of the environment of Minneapolis. Right. Because when you think about Control, it was about her going out on her own. Where her coming to Minneapolis with no bodyguards, she came with her best friend, no bodyguards, just came, we gave her a Thomas guide, for people that remember those. There was no GPS, pre-GPS, gave her a Thomas guide. We said, here's the hotel, here's the studio, here's the Blockbuster Video, here's the sushi place, whatever. She had to drive herself and get herself around and do that. So the whole idea of coming on her own was really born in Minneapolis. That's where that all started. And then we would just, before we even started working, we would just have conversations like we're having now. And she'd say different things. And she said, when are we going to go to the studio and start working? And we said, oh, we started working. And we showed her the opening lyrics to Control. When I was 17, I did what people told me, did what my father said, and let my mother mold me. When she read those lyrics, she said, oh, so whatever we talk about, that's what we're going to write about. And we said, yes. And she said, oh, and I want to write about this, and I want to write about that. And, you know, so it totally woke her up as a writer, which she never had been asked before about what her thoughts were. So that was important.
I could end it. I could literally go home right now, but I'm not going to, because that was a great story. We have more when we return. Back in a moment, everybody. That is crazy. Yeah. She didn't realize.
Yeah.
Welcome back. The legends, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. This Saturday, and around the country too. Y'all are doing a party. I want to get to so many things, so I want to tick through. You guys are doing a party, what, tonight for Cornbread, right? Tomorrow night. It's Wednesday, Jason. Yep. Yeah.
99 1/3 birthday.
Cornbread hairs.
So we're counting down to 100, but we're going to do it in style, and it's always fun, and I get to play with him, which is always a lot of fun. And that's like amazing.
99 1/4 birthday.
Yeah.
Have fun trying to find a balloon for that.
A third. Yeah. And a third. Don't shortchange.
That's right. And a third. I'm sorry. Okay. I want to. Speaking of ticking through some things, I thought this should be fun. We're going to do a little thing called Tell Me Something. I'm just going to name a song. And the first thing that pops in your mind, if you have a little anecdote about it, a little like a session story like you just gave with Janet. Let's see here. Human, the Human League. Jeff's freaking out over there. Yeah.
The Human League was interesting because they're from Sheffield, England. So it was a little bit of culture shock to come up to Minnesota to record, particularly because and I think there was some weather shock too, because I think it was like February or January or February.
Lots of shock.
Yeah, so there was definitely some shock there. But when they were working on their album, the A&R person at A&M Records was named John McClain, who's passed away unfortunately. But he was the one that they had sent him demos of what they were working on, and he said, "What are you trying to do with these demos?" He said, "Well, we're trying to make a Jam and Lewis album." And he said, "Well, why don't you get Jam and Lewis to produce the album?" And he called us and said, "Do you guys like Human League?" We said yes. And so that was it. He sent him up and we made the record. And Human was interesting because we went back and forth. There was a young lady, there was our secret weapon on backgrounds named Lisa Keith. And we had, okay? So we had Lisa Keith and Terry did the backgrounds on the song, and the girls in the band said, "I don't think we like that other girl singing on the song." And we said, "Oh, that's our background singer, Lisa Keith." So anyway, it got to the point where we were going to take the song off the album. And the label was like, "No, you can't do that." So Terry came up with a brilliant idea to have the girls say the little part where they say, "While we were apart,
Terry!
I was too." So he solved the problem. Yeah. He solved the problem.
On Bended Knee, Boyz II Men.
Bended Knee. So Boyz II Men was working on their album, and I remember it was All-Star Game, NBA All-Star Game. And they came up and they played the stuff they had on their record, and they said, "What do you think?" We said, "It's really good. You guys need a begging song." And they said, "What do you mean a begging?" And we said, like begging, like I'm down on my knees, and like that kind of song. You guys are really good at singing those. And so we wrote On Bended Knee literally in '94, right before the All-Star Game. That's when we did the song for them. And I remember I sang the demo for it, which was horrible. And they laughed when they heard it. They said, "Oh, we're not going to sing it like that." And the funny thing is we found the demo the other day on cassette, And exactly what I sang is what they sang. Of course, they sang it much better than me.
Yeah.
But the same notes and everything. And of course, one of their big songs. And they actually replaced themselves at the top of the charts because they had "I'll Make Love to You" at #1, which was Babyface did, LA and Babyface did. And then they replaced themselves at the top of the charts with "On Bended Knee," the song that we did.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay, there's so many Janet ones I want to ask you about. So I'll just, because I don't want to run out of time. We have like two minutes, Jeff. Okay. Scream. When Michael and Janet worked together, what memory floats to the top with Scream?
Most impactful studio session ever of all time. Michael,
really?
Yeah, because Michael, when we actually had decided on the song, we had done like 4 or 5 tracks. He decided that was the one he wanted to do. And when he walked in the studio, he was very quiet and very mild-mannered, and he was like, "Okay, do you guys want me to go in and sing?" "Yeah, go in and sing, Michael." And he goes in, he puts the headphones on. And the minute the music comes, we called him the Tasmanian Devil, for anybody that remembers that cartoon. He started twirling. And Terry and I, we were like some teenage girls. We were like, and we're in New York. We're working at a place called Hit Factory in New York. Anyway, he goes through the whole song start to finish. And when it's over, there's just silence. And he goes, "How was that?" And we said, "Oh, Mike, yeah, that was great. You want me to do it again?" "Yes, please, Mike, do it again." Janet is supposed to do the vocal after him. She comes between me and Terry, and she goes, "I'll do my vocal in Minneapolis." She no way wanted to follow what he had just done.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no.
And so she came to Minneapolis about a week later. We did her vocal. We sent it to Michael. Michael called us, and he said, "Wow, Janet's vocal sounds really good." And we said, "Yeah, thanks." "Where'd she do that?"
Really
yeah,
good.
He said, "It sounds really good." "Where'd she do that vocal?" We said, "Minneapolis." He said, "I'm coming to Minneapolis." And Michael came to Minneapolis that next week. But it was winter time, so what he loved was...
Can't you bring these people on spray?
No, but here's a great thing for him. He loved the Mall of America. So he could put a ski mask on and walk around like a normal person. And that's what he would do. Because obviously if somebody saw him, it would be crazy.
Oh, chaos.
But he loved it. So he loved being here at that time of year. And of course, killed it. We ended up only using maybe 10% of what he did up here, but he loved the experience of being up here.
So the majority of that track, when we listen to Scream now, when we jump on, yeah. Janet was all done in Minneapolis.
Yes.
And is there even a little bit of Michael?
We used 10%. We did 10%, like some cleanup things, like a few things that he didn't get in New York. We did do when he was up here, but he loved being up here. He spent almost a week up here. He loved it.
At the Mall of the Rainforest Cafe. He was at the Mall of America.
And the rides.
Did he go on the rides?
Oh yeah, he loved the rides. Yeah.
He went to Camp Snoopy. It's called Nickelodeon Universe now. Yeah. Everyone's laughing if they're from here because they know it used to be called Camp Snoopy.
That's right.
And we're all getting the visual of Michael on the log ride. Yeah. And that's all, Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the legends, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. If you're watching locally, as I said, if you're watching from our beloved Minneapolis, they have a show coming up at the Minnesota State Fair this Saturday, August 29th at the Grandstand. If you're watching from across the country, they're touring. Check their social and join them on the party. We will be right back. Back in a moment, everybody. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. That was very